Good morning. How was everybody this morning? I'm having great fun the last couple of weeks making videos, talking. I've been talking a lot. And I've been talking as much to communicate my ideas as I have been to find the potholes in those ideas. And I find that when I make these home videos, I learn where I have my shortcomings, where I have to do some work. So that's why I really love doing this. I'm going to speak today on mindfulness because it's a hot topic now and it's very much misunderstood. So I'm going to speak about the dangers of mindfulness. In short, the dangers of mindfulness is regarding it as a all-in-one tool for the path to enlightenment, and it isn't that. Or even to think that it is spiritual at all. Mindfulness is a support to the path. It's an aspect of the path, but by itself, it just leads to concentration and focus, which has a lot of dangers. For example, if we aim an arrow at the moon and we're a half-inch off at the beginning, we'll be completely miss the moon at the end. So if we get really skilled at mindfulness and do not practice other aspects of the path, we will have the ability to shoot an arrow as far as the moon, but we will not have the ability to hit the moon. So that calls into question what use is mindfulness. That's what this talk is about. All of us have gone to the kitchen and gotten to the kitchen and said, oh, I wonder why I went here. I'm sitting there thinking, kind of lost. Or moments ago we put something down and then we forgot where we put it. The reason this happens is a lack of mindfulness. So when we practice mindfulness, it's to bring our attention on what we are doing so that we are aware of what we're doing when we are doing it. And we don't have these lapses. So mindfulness, cultivation of mindfulness has many techniques. For example, mantra recitation, which can be seated or walking or anything. We could take a walk reciting a mantra. And if we do this, we might notice that, hey, while we're reciting the mantra, our mind drifts, which is okay. We bring it back to the mantra. We think, we're in and out of the mantra, but we don't lose it. This is mindfulness of the mantra, even though we may drift a little bit. But if we drift to the point where something taps us on the shoulder and says, hey, what about me? And we realize that we completely lost the mantra because we were lost in thought somewhere else. That's a lapse of mindfulness. And the practice of mindfulness is to not allow that to happen. So we can practice mindfulness in that way, reciting mantras, but it's not confined there by any means. We could practice gardening and be aware when we're working in the garden where we put our tools. We don't have to look for our tools because we know where we put them. If we do have to look for our tools and we're gardening, we lost our mindfulness. So that's one of the reasons in monastic situations, in monasteries, gardening is one of the favorite practices for cultivation of mindfulness because it reveals lapses very well. Maybe you're making a stone garden. You forget where you put certain stones or certain colored stones or whatever. Forgot where you put some flower seeds when you should know where they are. All of this reveals mindfulness or lack thereof. My favorite thing to do when I was a novice monk all the way through to becoming a fully ordained bhikshu and even abbot of a monastery was to clean the temple, clean the toilets, clean the meditation benches, clean the altar, clean the shrine. I loved it. I cleaned the dishes for everybody, 30 or 40 people a day often. Because I found in cleaning the most excellent basis or context to practice mindfulness in. Cleaning really reveals if you're scattered or not scattered. You should know where your soap is and where you put this dish rag or that dish rag. Or if you're cleaning an altar, you should, you know, have a certain order in which you clean. Maybe statues, the bottom of the, you know, the glass on the altar goes first, and then the statues and so forth. Not getting things out of order when you're doing them. Mopping the floors around the hallways and the offices and stuff before you mop the toilet floor. Simple things like this, you know. If you find yourself walking into the toilet with a mop and you haven't mopped the shrine room yet, that's upside down. You're going to have to clean the mop once again before you can mop the shrine room. Make sure it's spick and span before you put that mop down in the shrine room. So if you're walking to the toilet to clean that and something taps you on the shoulder, hey, you didn't clean the shrine room yet. Lapse of mindfulness. So being mindful is a really good thing. But we have to realize that it's not enough in itself. And the reason it's not enough in itself is because we can be mindful as a merchant who practices unfair business practices too. We can deceive people and know that we're deceiving them and still be very mindful of the whole thing. So a thief can be mindful too. Or a warrior, he can know where he put his swords and where he put his shield and the order of attack and everything. If he's really good at what he's doing and he's not scattered, he's mindful. But the whole picture is wrong. The entire picture is wrong. So when we practice mindfulness, we got to realize that mindfulness should be on a spiritual path, in a spiritual context, in a spiritual picture. Our whole picture has to be right. And in order for the whole picture to be right, we have to be on a we have to be on target. We have to know where we're going, where it's going, this mindfulness. Otherwise, we're just creating concentration. And concentration, as I illustrated at the beginning, is a good thing, but not by itself, because we may miss the target altogether. So to discover the target, we absolutely must study and reflect on the teachings of the Buddha, or whichever teacher we follow. Find out what the teachings are and get to know what we don't know, which creates a certain flavor in our mind. We can't penetrate a certain point. All of us should have that in some way, because study leads to something where We really want to know something, but we're not sure quite what it is, but we know what we don't know. And this kind of sets the puts the target. We have a certain target for ourselves. And through logic, reasoning, and analysis of what the scripture says, we make sure that our focus is well used and that we understand the path. So there are certain key markers so that we can discriminate whether we're on the path or not. And when we practice mindfulness, if we're on the path, we should notice a definite change in attitude towards others, a warm-heartedness towards others, and a compassion for others. When this arises spontaneously without our seeking it, we're aiming in the right direction with our mindfulness. And mindfulness should also give rise to a little wisdom. We're a little bit shrewder and smarter and more wise in doing things than we normally would be. And we recognize what's real and what's not. What's the right view and what isn't. So we can more easily stay on the path. So through compassion and wisdom and a genuine warm-heartedness towards others, when all of this arises as a byproduct of our mindfulness, it's a sure sign that our study and analytical meditation and reasoning and logic about the scriptures is paying off in our mindfulness practice. If this doesn't arise, then we're just practicing concentration. And concentration can be on or off target, so we got to be very careful there. Pardon the noise. They're building another apartment next to mine, so all recordings will sound like I'm in a construction zone, and I am. So I hope this little talk on mindfulness is helpful. It's something I think about all the time, and I want to make sure that I'm on target with my mindfulness. Namaste. I love you. Hope you enjoyed the video.